Hi guys, good morning. Welcome to the second episode of ABC Talks. Uh, Last time we had met an award-winning filmmaker on our first episode of ABC Talks. The second episode, we have another award-winning filmmaker with us, a young filmmaker who has recently joined us in our journey in ABC Talkies. Before I start chatting with him, I would like to give a small note on this person that I'm trying to speak to. Nandan. Nandan is a filmmaker from Kerala, now based in Bombay. Nandan has been, has done his BTech in civil engineering, worked in Bangalore, then had an interest in cinema, moved to Bombay, has been assisting a lot of filmmakers, making a career in advertising industry and the film industry. And today, while doing that, Nandan also has directed one documentary and one short film. I would like to introduce Nandan. Nandan, welcome.
Hi. Thank you, Siddharth. Thank you.
Just to your introduction, but I would like to, you to tell the world your little story about yourself before we start.
So I was born in Kerala, and I was always interested in films and filmmaking in general, not just documentaries, everything. And actually, from a very young age, I was interested in everything, like painting, literature, everything. So, but it never crossed my mind to be a filmmaker. But then it was in college when I was studying engineering, civil engineering, that I was watching a lot more films then. So I understood that I was watching and thinking about films a lot more than others did. So that's why I decided to be a filmmaker when I was in college. And then I moved to Bombay, and then I started working in the film industry, in advertisements and in films. And then I made this documentary. So that's what.
So before we start, my first question: how many years being an independent filmmaker now?
Because my story is like when I was working, like I have never stopped working as an AD. So I did this in between working in mainstream films and mainstream advertisements. So I can't quite call myself as a complete independent filmmaker. Of course, that's different from the kind of films and kind of advertisements that I've been doing. So I can't, it's like I've been working since 2015, I think. So in the film industry. So in between, while doing some other films, I managed to do this. In between, I managed to write a book, and in between, I managed to do my short film and this documentary. So while I was...
No, the reason I was asking this question to you before I started my bombarding you with questions was 2015. You said you started your career in film industry. You have been assisting and the work of a lot of films, and in between you got time and you shot the documentary and this film, short film also. I'll say in a short span of say 5-6 years that you've been working, how does it feel to get a national award for documentary?
I don't feel it's not. It's great actually. It's a great feeling, but I'm not overwhelmed by it. I'm very happy that it got the national award, and I think the film deserves it. I'm very happy about it. I didn't. Because I have really a lot of work has been gone into that documentary. I mean, not just in shooting, even before deciding to make the documentary. I think a lot of work has been gone into it. So, and that is very dear to me, the film, because it's about languages and everything. So it's very dear to me. So it makes me happy.
Yeah, so I actually wanted to ask you, so for people who don't know about this, Nandan has just recently won a national award for the best documentary for his documentary. I want you to speak to us about the documentary. What was the idea? How did you go through it? When did you start planning it? How did you get in touch with this gentleman that you have covered? we want to know the entire journey from you once.
Yeah, of the document. So this Dreaming of Words, which has won a national award for best educational film at the 68th National Film Award. So that film, Dreaming of Words, is about languages. So deciding to make the documentary, it's a long story because I was working in Bangalore. So since I'm from Kerala and I'm a Malayali, I speak Malayalam. That's my mother tongue. So and also I speak a little bit of Tamil. And also I learned Tamil by watching films and all. And when I moved to Bangalore as a civil engineer, I was working there. I learned Kannada and Telugu as well, and also Hindi. So that time I was actually looking for a dictionary that connects these four languages: Malayalam, Kannada, Tamil, and Telugu. So, but I couldn't find a dictionary. So then I moved to Mumbai, and then I started working in films and everything. And then when I wanted to make a documentary, I was looking for a subject. And when I was in my hometown, in a local newspaper, I read about this person called Nyatela Sridharan, had compiled a dictionary connecting these four languages. And I had read that he was a fourth standard dropout, and he spent 25 years to compile this dictionary. So then I found his contact from the newspaper, and then I went to him, and then I met him. And then I came to know that the dictionary, though he spent 25 years in compiling it, and a lot of work was gone into making that dictionary. So that's his life's work. But that dictionary was never published. So I was really surprised by that. So then I thought that this is a story to be told, because that will be so that way this film is a tribute to this person, his work, and also a tribute to these four languages. So that's how Dreaming of Words started.
What was any challenges that you had while making the movie?
There were so many challenges. I mean, one of them being lack of any other producer, so I had to produce it myself. So I started with a little bit of crowdfunding that didn't really work well. So I decided to turn the producer, and I decided to produce the film myself. And then there were so many challenges. Like for an independent filmmaker, the challenges are not mostly it's about having no money to shoot. So but we were able to manage it because we had a very good team with us. So we were able to do it. And plus, there were not, and with the limited budget we had, we were able to shoot in 3 different states. We were able to shoot in Kerala, and we went to Tamil Nadu, so we shot in Karnataka. So we were able to shoot in 3 different states and everything. So we were able to do all that, and we were able to meet all the people we wanted to meet, and it was great. So I think we were able to do it really well.
So just again, another question that I had was, why did you choose this subject, Dreaming of Words, as a topic for your first documentary?
So since it is like I said earlier, like it's about language. So this person has compiled a dictionary connecting 4 languages, and it's part of the documentary. It's like in India, I think languages are not preserved well, I believe, even though we have a lot of languages. A lot of importance is not given to languages, I believe. So I think, and plus we have a lot of institutions and a lot of universities which undertake these kind of works, like compiling a dictionary, and they are supposed to be the authority, and they do all this work. And plus they have the funding, and they have all the resources. But this man has done it without any resources and without help from anyone. And he did it alone. So it is like it becomes, and when he finally published it, just because he didn't have a doctorate, he was finding it difficult to get the book published. So this story became, first of all, it became a story of a man following his dream. And also it became a kind of a libertarian story because one man fighting against the system. So I really loved it, and I felt that it's not just about these four languages, it can be any language. So someone doing it's a Herculean task, the compiling of a dictionary. So this Herculean, he has completed this Herculean task, and the work has been neglected since then. So that I felt I should tell a documentary. I should tell the and I what I've tried in this documentary is usually what happens is there will be a villain and a hero in the film, and it's usually the director tells you who's the hero and who's the villain. So what I've tried in this documentary is I haven't used a narration in this 60 minutes documentary. So whatever you hear from the characters. So you can decide who is the hero, who is the villain, what are the circumstances. So I tried to stay away from it. I tried to understand about the issue more while doing the documentary. I think that's how it should be done. So it's actually, I was trying to find more about the topic while I was making the documentary. And I tried to, and of course, I did have an idea of what was happening. And so, but at the same time, I deliberately tried to stay away from it. As a filmmaker, I didn't want to force my opinion on the audience. So if you watch it, and you can find for yourselves who the hero is, who the villain is, and what is right and what is wrong. So that's what I've done, and that I think was very different from working in films and working in advertisements.
The commercial cinema space today is being ruled by two industries. I'll say one is obviously the Bollywood, one is the South industry. And today, South industry has now eventually coming into a national space where there are people from audience in the north or the east. They are actually getting sitting and watching the show, watching the movie. Which I don't right now see that commercial cinema being ready for the other parts of the country. Like if I talk about the eastern part of the belt or the northern part of the belt. Northern part of the belt, the Bhojpuri movies have a kind of audience, the language, but they don't have. So I just think for me, the thin line between commercial cinema and cinema that's made for awards or for festivals. Yes, hands down, when it comes to festival movies, there are a lot of good, talented filmmakers who are from across the country and good content also. But I don't know why there's a lacking of these commercial sensitive movies going global or going national from other regions. That's what my worry is. That's what I wanted to ask you, that what is where the problem is.
There has been a change happening over the last few years. That's one of the reason for that is definitely OTT. And even before that, the actors like Ali Arjun or NTR were already popular among the Hindi film audience. They are not popular because of RRR, because they were already popular because of the dubbed movies which were available freely on YouTube. So it was available to everyone. So, but now about the barriers and the pan-Indian thing, what is happening is commercial cinema is breaking barriers. Commercial cinema is becoming national and it's doing very well business. So what is happening is in every industry, in Hindi or in Tamil, Bengali, Malayalam, there is pure commercial cinema, and then there used to be very good independent cinema, but that space for independent cinema is becoming less and less. So everything is mainstream. So what we see is we don't have a different space for another kind of cinema, and whatever we see is mainstream cinema. Like you talk about when you are in, I think a very well-known critic from Mumbai, when he or she is reviewing a Malayalam movie, like a regional, like they do it like doing a favor and feeling so happy about finding this film from a region. But what happens is even that is mainstream cinema from that region. When that film is a mainstream and that has a very good budget in that region. So
Right.
whatever you see is mainstream. So that is what is happening here. So like even in the US that has happened. I think the independent cinema section is the independent films are actually doing very well in Europe. Like in countries like Greece, where cinema is not a big deal. In India, cinema is a big deal. So everyone watches films and it's so popular. That is the main popular entertainment. But in Europe, it's not quite so. So what happens is the cinema made there has a certain quality which can take it to international levels. So that is lacking here, I believe. When we are being happy about films doing, films becoming extremely popular, but if it's presented in a very good manner, but still if we see it really well, I mean, see it through the layers, we can see that it's the same film. So that most of the times it's the same film being done differently. So that I think the quality of films is definitely just like in Hindi there was a movie, there was a moment earlier. So like in Hindi, if you see of the Bollywood films which are being made. So earlier there was a time when there was a No One Till Jessica, there was a Wednesday, there was a Talwar,
Yes.
other Vishal Bharadwaj films, Sheikh Chobe films. Even Tigmanshu Dhulia made a Pansing Tamil. Where are those kind of
Yes.
films? Those films are not there anymore. If a filmmaker has to make a film like that, they have to go to OTT. They don't have. So whatever is happening is in the mainstream. Either you do it in the mainstream or you're out of it. So that is what has happened, and this is happening in uh, the US as well. Like people like Woody Allen. Woody Allen didn't get funding for films like Matchbox in the US because he's considered, even though he is a popular director, but he didn't get funding for that film. That's why he had to shoot that in London. So that is what is happening here, and but definitely the films doing the numbers and everything is good. It's really great that Indian films are getting recognized everywhere. Like the films are doing really well in Russia again. The Indian films have been doing really well. Like, even in Africa, Indian films are extremely popular. Like, uh,
Yes.
Ajay Devgan is a huge star over there.
Don't you think that that commercially viable content can come back again on platforms like ours, where we don't need to depend on going into, obviously, you want to see a movie on a large theater, in a theater you want to go and watch content which is big budget, but in a short budget you can make a good commercial short content which can be consumed by consumers who are on the go, who want to, today the consumer wants to really quickly consume and move on.
Yeah.
In that space, don't you think that there is a time now that filmmakers can think of creating commercially good, viable short content which can be consumed by consumers on platforms like us? Where, because
Yes.
pay-per-view is something very new in India right now. It's catching up, but it's going to be the future of India, as it is being there in the Western countries, but now it's going to be coming India very soon. So, what is your take on that?
Yeah, I really believe that this pay-per-view or TV OTT is the future, and this is really great platform because even the independent filmmakers, they are not able to get into the OTT. I don't know if you remember when Netflix first came to India, the kind of films they had were completely independent films and which got international recognition. But we don't really know whether that was what the audience wanted. So audience always stayed away from it and from the platform itself. But now what is happening is on Netflix and Amazon, the content is again taken by mainstream cinema. So now, but at the same time, we can make films with a lesser budget because I think technology is available to everyone, and like cameras and sounds is available to everyone. And I think there must be an option where like you said filmmaking is as cheap as pen and paper. So I think we have it. We have that option, and with this pay-per-view system, I think it gives a lot of power to filmmakers, and especially in India, because India is a diverse country, and everyone can't reach a certain uh, level. So I think this platform, and most importantly, what someone needs is a platform where they can showcase the film after it's there. Whether that film gets its viewers or not, it's the film's destiny. We can't really do anything about it. But what is important is to have a platform where we can showcase it. So I have earlier I have known about so many documentaries in India, which even now I can't find them. So even now I can't find them online and everywhere. I've not been able to watch it. So what is happening is, if you want to watch those documentaries, we'll have to get in touch with the director, and we'll have to ask for a print for them, and they'll happily give it to us so that they're getting one view. So that used to be the situation earlier, and now when with platforms like this, it's being available to everyone, and that's really great. So
Right.
these
Right.
platform like ABC Talkies, I think, with compared to other OTT platform, I think with what happens is the independent cinema and the mainstream cinema is on a level playground, I believe.
You have been there in the industry, and you said there's a different world of between filmmaking and advertising. Uh, any you want to give any kind of suggestions or advice to the young filmmakers who are going to watch this today after this published? What do want to give them a one piece of advice to who are there and want to become something or trying to something?
It's about the technical aspect of filmmaking. I think it's everyone is aware that uh, filmmaking is a scientific thing, and we need to know the technicality of it, the cinematography and the editor. The editor definitely needs to know how to edit, how to use the software and everything. But what happens is, I think the advice that same advice that Alfred Hitchcock gave, what in his opinion, what he said was, if he starts a film school, he won't let the students go near the camera for at least 2 years. So that will be a very unpopular opinion. So if just imagine you start a film school and you don't let the students go near the camera for the first 2 years, then there won't be any students in the academy.
Yeah.
That is what is really required now, I believe. Because with the big technical thing that is, we have everything. We have in India, we have everything. I don't think we have we started using Alexa 65 in India, but we are using the same camera that Darius Khonji is shooting. Like we are using the same camera, we are using the same Alexa XT. We have the lights, we have the budgets, we have everything. We have everything. So the technical, we have good editing, we have good sound design, and we have everything. But even in films, like when you see in short films, the technicality is there. If you have that kind of resources, then you can definitely make it. But what is important is, especially in cinema, mainstream cinema, what happens is you need to follow this as a practice. Like you need to. So, what would you learn about cinema if you don't go near the camera for 2 years? So that is very important, I think. And we need to consider that cinema is a very new medium compared to paintings and literature and even music. Music has been there for thousands of years.
Absolutely.
10,000s of years. Paintings were found. There were paintings 30,000 years ago. Cinema was invented just 100 or 150 years ago. It came to India just 100 years ago. So it's a very weak and a very new medium. So if we need to learn more about cinema, you need to learn more about literature, drama, and paintings and music and all those. That's what will help you make great cinema. If you take Kurosawa or Satyajit Ray or any of these directors, even Alfred Hitchcock, that's what they've done. because they've brought that, whatever they've learned about music, literature, drama, and life, they've brought that into film and taken film as a medium forward. So, as a medium, they have taken it forward. Like when Hitchcock made Rear Window, he actually took the medium forward. So that's what I believe. So for filmmakers, I think that's what we should be doing. Because the director, I think there is a difference between director and filmmaker. I think that is the difference we need to move.
Correct. Absolutely.
Because
Yes.
filmmaker is everything. Filmmaker knows everything about. Filmmaker knows about acting, costume design, set design, everything, VFX and everything. He needs to know about everything. Filmmaker is not someone who is hired by a studio to direct a film. So, but a director is actually most of the times. That is what is happening. Most of the times it is.
No, the story is important. The story, end of the day, how good you say a story is more important. Is that important, or is it very important that to be in the race of technology adaptation, knowing and how to utilize them, or is that there has to be a thin line balance between both of them?
Both of it are important. Like what I'm saying is, I didn't say that it's just the story is important and not the technology is not important, because we have to use the technology to know. First, we need to know what the story is about and how to present that. So we need to use the most advanced technology suiting that particular project. So I think we need to do this. So we need to, maybe the next big thing would be, I think, maybe virtual reality. I once happened to watch a virtual reality documentary and I was stunned. So that is technology and that is real, taking it to another level. I think we first had black and white, first had color, we got color, and I think next we have everything right now. The next big thing is virtual reality. But just because you make a virtual, right now what's happening is, just because if you make a virtual reality film, that will be appreciated just because it's virtual reality. But
Correct.
after a point, when there are so many virtual reality films, you have to make a stunning film, you have to make a film with impact, and then it will be recognized. Like earlier, when you made a color film, just because it was a color film, people would go into the theaters to see their favorite film star in a color film. Technicolor was there on the posters. That would drag people into the theaters. That won't do anymore. Like 3D used to draw people into the theaters. It's not anymore. So what?
Yeah.
But still, a Rashomon, a black and white film made in the 50s, still stunning. So that's because, and definitely there is technology used in that. And even in Rear Window, they have used the best technology available then. Like about 2001 and Space Odyssey. He made that film in the 60s. Kubrick made that in 60s. But in 2001, now we are in 2022. But still, if you watch that film, that looks futuristic. That's so good. So he used the technology and also he understood the emotions. So we need to combine emotions and technology. Without the emotions, I think it won't. You can't impress people just with technology. We need to definitely move forward with technology, and like OTT itself is a new thing. So we need to take advantage of everything that is possible, but at the same time, we need to know what we are doing. So we need to have that base, a foundation. That's what I'm saying. We need to take that forward, and I'm sure that if we had Alfred Hitchcock or Kurosawa now, definitely they'll be thinking about a virtual reality film. 100% sure about that. So that's it. So that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Do you think there is a consumer base today in India for short films?
I think yes. Yeah. There is a consumer base because I think they get to see a lot of things which are not there in mainstream cinema. They get to, I mean, maybe, I don't know, a lot of things work. Maybe because the characters, not because they are big stars. I mean, maybe they are so they connect with the audience really well, I believe. And some of the short films are really well made, extremely well made. And I think that Yeah, so definitely there is a base for short films.
And do you think that after platforms like ours coming in the market now, where the play for VOD, do you think that today independent filmmaker or a filmmaker, I know some but filmmaker, can create a commercially viable short film for people to pay and watch?
Yes, I think so. I think so. Because that's what we need. Like I said, what is happening is recently over the years, what is happening is, I think as an individual, an artist should get more power. Like that is what is happening. I think we are moving towards it, where the artist is directly connected to the audience. So, like earlier, when you work with for a studio or even for books, when you work with a publisher, you go through a lot of filters. So right now, what is happening is they can self-publish. You're directly connecting to the people, so it's available there. And if the audience if they want to, if any one reader want to reach you, there are no filters in between. So that is what is happening with film as well. So if you do a film and you're getting the film directly to your audience, so they are actually buying it from the filmmaker, and which is actually very very important, I believe. And definitely we can make a lot of like Michel Gondry and a lot of other filmmakers. And all these directors like Park Chan Wook has made a film on iPhone, which is really an amazing film. So I think that
So
really
am I going to be seeing a virtual short film from Nandan very soon on ABC Talkies?
maybe maybe
VR
that's true.
based short film from Nandan.
Maybe I might do. I really love doing uh, VR film. But what happens is, I just like I said before I set out to shoot, I think a lot about this. So I think the first decision is whether to make the film or not. So there are like thousands of opportunities, and I am really slow in my process. Like I know a lot of people who think of an idea in the morning and in the afternoon they just set out to shoot. I'm not able to
Yeah.
do it. I mean that's something wrong with me. My editor and you don't say that. Like I can't do that. I'm not that quick. But what happens is I take my time. Maybe if it's a good decision or bad decision, I take my time. So when I decide, I think the filmmaking is about making a lot of decisions. But the first decision to make is which whether to make this idea into a film. It's the first decision to make. So I take a lot of time to uh, make that decision, and that actually helps also. Helps, and it has its disadvantages, but also that helps because if you have taken so much time to think about it, and that helps you in the end, you can stay with that idea for that long. So definitely, I will make a VR film, and I'm very happy it can be on ABC Talkies. It'll be good, really good, because VR can be experienced anywhere. It doesn't have the barrier of theater. We are even breaking the barrier of theater. It's going directly to their homes, and that's really good. And that is actually gives a. I believe that when you make a film, it's not like life. Documentary is like life. It should be like life. You're actually recreating life. But cinema is not recreating life. It's recreating dream. So VR is really a step towards that. I think. It really feels like a dream. So it's really good. It was really interesting for me. And I watch Rashomon again and again sometimes. But I do like a lot of I actually like a lot of. I'm a huge fan of Pedro Almodovar, Spanish filmmaker. So I really like his films. And Louis Buñuel, Alfred Hitchcock. I like all of their films. And I've seen a lot of other films like Satyajit Ray, all these films. I keep watching all of them.
So you watch films again and again to like just to learn and to critique and to talk about films, or you just just down there and just watch and
Because there are some films which when we watch again and again, we get a lot of new things from it, which we haven't seen. And of course, I read a lot about films. So there are so many books about films, about the making of film. I read a lot about films. I read screenplays of films that I've watched. I read those screenplays again and again. So screenplays by Almodovar, and screenplays of films like Silence of the Lambs or Pulp Fiction. I
Oh,
read those screenplays again. So that is really interesting. And when you read the screenplay so many times, I know that really well. And when I watch the film again, it becomes even more interesting. So I watch those kind of films. I watch all kind of uh, films. I also watch commercial films. I love commercial cinema. I am a huge. I really love those 80s Amitabh Bachchan films. I really love those films. Like Diva, Zanjeer, and Varak Anthony. I really love. Actually, I've learned a lot of languages by watching films. Like I learned Tamil by watching films. So and I learned Hindi by watching Hindi films. So films have helped me a lot learning these things.
so what's next for you, Nandan, as a filmmaker?
Uh, as a filmmaker, definitely I've done a short film and a feature-length documentary. So definitely next would be a fiction feature film. So I am working on it, but right now I'm working on a book. So I am an author as well. I write in Malayalam. So my first book was published last year. It was a children's novel in Malayalam. So right now I'm working on my second novel, which will be published soon. So right now I'm working on that. So I like to mix between literature and film. So in between doing films, I like to write as well. So next will definitely be a fiction feature.
Any last comments on us as a platform in Talkies? How has been us?
It was really great to know about ABC Talkies because I think it is really great. Like I said, it's empowering. It's truly empowering the artist, where you can connect with audience who won't be able to watch the film otherwise without the platform. So I can say for sure that if a lot of people watch the film, definitely a lot of the audience come from the platform, not just my relatives or friends. So that is really interesting. It has been really good, and I'm very happy that the film was selected to be screened on the platform even before the national. So I'm very happy about that. And so when it was so that's really great. I'm very happy about that. And I think so that will so documentary filmmaking is a little difficult in India. We don't get theatrical release and everything, but with platforms like ABC Talkies, I think because there are so many stories to be told, and I think documentary filmmakers will find it really interesting. And also the kind of cinema like uh, a film like El Mariachi was made by Robert Rodriguez. It's a very low budget film, so, but it's still entertaining and it's so thrilling, that film El Mariachi. So I think if someone wants to make that kind of a film in India with a low budget, I think we have at least there is a platform to showcase that kind of a film. So we can be very happy about that.
Yeah, true, absolutely, absolutely. Great. Thank you, Nandan. Thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure speaking to you. I think we're going to speak more again soon
Yeah.
when we have something more interesting to talk about again. But thank you once again for joining us. And once again, congratulations for your award. I hope to see you win more awards for this. And hope to meet you in person very soon, either in Bombay or in Kerala.
Thank you, Siddharth. Thank you so much.